You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Good morning, everybody. Engle here for next weekend Playbook. Everybody's had a great week. Got a busy last couple of days, or last day, 24 hours on the MLB trade. Why do I keep popping up here? There would be a second, Jack. And we'll get into all of that. We'll talk a little bit of NFL and whatever else might come up during this hour. I welcome in my co-host, Hall of Fame boxing writer, Jack Hirsh. How are you, Jack?
Hey, good, Keith.
Hope you've had a great week and looking forward to a good weekend. The weather's finally broke here. I'm really so happy that I'm able to take a breath outside when I go out there now. So hopefully it's the same for you. Speaking of breath, it was kind of a breathless Thursday as we head into the trade deadline. I had said all along, and we saw a few trades. I said all along that it was going to be a slow developing market. We had a few trades. Josh Naylor, Yankees made a move last weekend with Ryan McMahon, but not a lot of movement. But yesterday, the floodgates just opened up. And I've got people in several groups myself as far as kind of, winners, well, good, bad, and indifferent. I think myself, as we look at this, Seattle came out huge. I think the Yankees did very well without having to give up a lot of prospects. I think they did very well. Mets did well. Padres, Phillies. I like the Astros, what they did. And from those are all contenders, right? And from outside, the people rebuilding, or if they're, I guess, are always rebuilding. The A's, I think, came away with a pretty good haul for the people that did. It did really nothing. The Red Sox really.
Keith, your microphone is bouncing in and out.
Hang on one second.
I mean, you're flip-flopping like you do on some of these trades, right now. I mean, you're setting the table for your flip-flopping now.
It's funny. I'm not.
Well, there's movement. I don't mean to start out with the Yankees, even though that's usually our main topic of conversation. But all these deals, Keith, it remains to be seen because there's so many minor leaguers involved. And if they develop into high-impact major league players down the line, the team might look back and say, I gave up, a potential marquee player for years to come for middle reliever who's not even on my team anymore.
Right.
So it kind of remains to be seen. Like we remember with the Yankees, with Fred McGriff, what he turned out to be a Hall of Fame first baseman, and they gave him out for some reliever. What was his name? Murray or something?
Del Murray.
Yeah, who didn't have that distinguished major league career. And also there's the issue that no one ever really brings up. They mention it, but no one makes an issue out of it. Expiring contracts. If a guy's in his walk year, he better deliver in the last couple of months of the season. Otherwise, what did you trade for him? I mean, the Mets had a heck of a pickup. Hi, Michael. They had a heck of a pickup last couple of days in Cedric Mullins. Okay, if Cedric Mullins can recapture his past form, and he might very well at the age of 30, that's a terrific pickup for the Mets.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is this: if he doesn't make an impact this year, he's a free agent at the end of the season. So there's a reasonable chance he goes elsewhere. So how good a trade would that have been in that circumstance?
Well, that's why I think the Mets and the Yankees both did well. They didn't give up major prospects, and they're all prospects. One of the reasons it's so hard to judge this, right? And I'll get into some people later on my MLB update. Well, they'll be saying, well, this prospect is this prospect. I'm like, they're all prospects. I can't judge with these. I don't care if they're rated 1 or they're rated 500. I don't know what they're going to do until a year, 2 years, 5 years. But these guys you're talking about now, that their impact has to be immediate. I do like the Cedric Mullins trade. People are going to point to his batting average. He's a great defensive center fielder. He's as good as the Mets been playing Taylor out there a lot because of his defense. He's going to hit at least what Taylor hit and have some pop and be able to run the bases a little bit. I think that's a great up trade for the Mets, and getting Henley helps as well. And I'm trying to think who else they brought in.
And Soto might do a little DHing when he normally wouldn't do that, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Certain other moves I like. The Orioles were sellers, but certain other moves I like Charlie Morton going to the Tigers. Good pickup for Detroit, getting a veteran pitcher, 40 years old and not, could help a team like that.
Playoff tester. I like that one move. Yeah. I've got the Tigers rated in the okay category. Not great, but okay, because of Charlie Morton. The rest of their moves were Brett. Kittredge has been around a while, and he'll give them some bullpen depth. But the big one is Morton, and Morton's really pitched well after a horrendous start. He's pitched great, and he's got, as I said, that playoff pedigree. I like what they did.
And you mentioned Seattle. You said, wow, that they came up big getting Josh Naylor, first base Suarez, who was the prime pickup at third base. But then I could throw this at you, Keith. If those guys would make such a big impact, why didn't they do it for Arizona? They didn't do it. They didn't do it for Arizona. So what makes us think they're necessarily going to do it for Seattle? But with that said, these are nice pickups for Seattle, who I don't know whether they'll catch Houston and win the division, but it certainly puts them on track for playoff spot.
Individually, they were both playing very well. The team did not play well, and I don't think it was because of Suarez or Naylor. I think they were both contributors, and their pitching was really bad. That's what really happened to them. Injuries and bad pitching from guys like Zach Gallen, their ace, who did not get traded, surprisingly, yesterday.
Why didn't they move him? Zach Gallen's in his walk year.
Yeah,
That's I don't understand. Do they think they're going to get draft compensation that's going to be worthwhile? I mean, I don't understand it unless Arizona, who still has an outside chance of making the playoffs, unless Arizona wants to keep 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door, thinking, let us just hold on to a guy, Zach Gallen. You never know if we're going to have any chance of making a run at a playoff spot. Let's hold on to him. We've dealt enough guys, but I don't understand it because if you're not in serious contention and one of your players is going to be a free agent at the end of the year, the logical thing is you get rid of him. In fact, Keith, Whitey Herzog, the late great Whitey Herzog, the St. Louis Cardinal manager, always used to say, you never trade a guy 1 year away from free agency. It's got to be at least a year and a half, because that's the time you could get really good value for him. The longer you let him go into free agency, the less you're going to get back.
That's fair. I do think that the Diamondbacks are trying to trade Gallen. I think there's some red flags with the season he's having, maybe his health, the fact that he's a rental, and maybe they were asking too much for him because of his past success. I think they were trying to move him and just could not. I'll stay with the Yankees for a couple of minutes just because we always go there. Padres had an interesting trade deadline. I've got them in the winners, but they probably gave up it again. We're talking about prospects, but they gave up one of the better prospects, the best prospect probably traded in this deadline, in this trade for Matt Miller. I always forget his first name. Miller, anyway, the closer for the A's. They already got the best bullpen in baseball, and they just added to it. I think the Padres had an interesting, especially when you consider the Giants look like they're giving up. The Dodgers, really, for them, had a very poor trade deadline. I think the Padres are a big winner here because they do look like they're all in here to trade.
Yeah, the Padres, in a sense, probably think they can afford to give up one of their better prospects, because when you have Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, you have players who you think are going to be with you the next few years and play at a high level. So I can at least understand that. And they had to make a bold move. Any hope of really catching the Dodgers would rest on that. And they're hanging around. They're in contention. you never know with these moves, Keith. I mean, let me take you back to the beginning of the season for 1 second. Remember the way everyone was saying how stacked the Dodger bullpen was, their pitching? And
Yeah.
their bullpen has been their Achilles heel. And all of a sudden, the Dodgers need help in the bullpen. The bullpen that was one of their strengths. Every position was a strength in every area for the Dodgers beginning of the season. Even the Yankees. I heard at the beginning of the season and preseason, wow, the Yankees can now shorten the game. They have so many arms in the bullpen. And the bullpen was the weakness. It fell apart basically. And now the Yankees traded for
Right.
former closers. Four former closers. And I kind of feel, and not wrongly, Keith, not wrongly, Brian Cashman is playing the numbers game, figuring if just one of these four can get back to their old form, it'll be worth it because I'll have a genuine closer. And then I could go with Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, middle relief. And Devin Williams the other night, man, when he came in with a 1-run lead, walked the guy, gave up a home run. He gotten better, Devin Williams. He was terrible early in the year, but it's hard to have the confidence in him at this point. Moving forward, maybe he'll reestablish that confidence. His arm is lively. But so the Yankees get four guys, but the four closers, Keith. The bottom line is all four of them lost their closers' jobs with other teams.
There is that. I like the kid they got for the Giants. He's got the most potential, I think, here. But again, he's erratic. They're all erratic. Closures as a rule are erratic. They go up and down, up and down. I think, yes, I agree with what you're talking about in the numbers game and looking to hit with one, maybe two. But it also helps them back up a starting pitching staff that is not deep, and guys who can't go deep in games right now. You're not going to see Warren go that long. Sheetler, I can never say his name. I'm afraid to say it wrong. How do you say his name? The rookie, Sheetler. I say I don't want to say what I want to say because it looks like Shettler. But anyway, him and Warren, I don't think you're going to get 6, 7, 8 innings out of them. They're looking to shorten games, like you talked about at the top. I still think they're looking to shorten games. Even Rondon he's a 5-inning pitcher. He can't get past 5 innings. He starts to lose his stuff.
He throws a lot of pitches. No, it's not innings. It's the pitch count gets up there where Rondon, for whatever reason, they seem to foul off his pitches more than any other starter. I don't know what the analytics say. That would be interesting. Of all the Yankee starters, which pitcher do they hit the most foul balls off?
Well,
I didn't hear. I would venture to guess it's Rondon. He had a legendary at bat with one of the Toronto players. I forgot his name. The player, it was like a 14 pitch at bat or something. It was crazy. And then Rondon eventually got him out. And then Rondon tipped his cap to him. In other words, he was telling him, I won the battle, but you won the war.
Right. Anyway, I think, look, the Yankees made some very good moves without, again, having a mortgage a future. They got 4 position players that will help them throughout this season, too. They strengthened third base, and they strengthened the bench. I love what the Yankees did here without, again, having to mortgage a future.
They got McMahon. He's going to be their third baseman moving forward beyond this year. And it's a good move. Let's see what he does. The good thing about Ryan McMahon, he's excellent defensively. So the worst case scenario, if he doesn't hit, he's going to hold down the position very well at third base, from a defensive standpoint. And he probably will hit a bit. He's shown some power. He's certainly been, a great addition since he's joined the Yankees, even though there's not enough of a body of work. And Ahmed Rosario plays 5 positions. He could play, right field, left field, second, short, a third, so they can move him around. He's a big asset. And I was thinking of what you said the other day, and I questioned it, but you came up with a really good argument with Stanton. This could be a problem, when Judge comes back, because Judge is the one guy you do not mess around with in any way, shape, or form. You do not accommodate anyone else by compromising Judge how you use him.
100%.
And if Judge is going to DH, and that's the best thing for him to do, let's say the rest of the season, what the heck are you doing with Stanton? I know you can try him in the outfield and keep your fingers crossed that no balls are hit out to him, or he's not in a position to make where he has to make an exceptional play. You can try to live with that for a while and hope he doesn't get injured. But you want Stanton's bat in the lineup. So it's not, you can't easily dismiss Stanton and say, no, I'm putting Ahmad Rosario out there in the outfield instead of Stanton. It's not an easy one, but it's not an easy decision to make. It's an easy decision to make Judge the DH if you have to do it for health concerns. That's an easy decision. But as far as Stanton goes, whether you have in the outfield here, there. Another thing, let me say something about Anthony Volpe. The fans haven't gotten on him that bad because he's gotten some big hits. Like the other night, he saved the Yankees, saved the game with the game time homer. He's shown power, and his final numbers, homers, are going to come out, I project, between 20 and 25. RBIs, 75, 80. His numbers aren't going to be bad at the end of the year if you keep playing those numbers. His batting average will be down. But let me say something about Paul Goldschmidt. I've been disappointed in his defense, Keith. Part of a first baseman is supposed to bail out your infielders a good amount of the time. And the other day, Anthony Volpe throws the ball. It came on a short hop, but not a bad short hop. You expect the first baseman to handle it. It's right in his glove. It wasn't like he had to stretch out for a long hop that was coming, on a certain angle. And even Paul Goldschmidt knew he should have had it, and Anthony Volpe gets the error, and that's what we hear in the news. Oh, another error by Volpe. He should have gotten bailed out.
I'm going to agree with you about Goldschmidt. He's been disappointing for me in the field a bit. Even at the plate, he's starting to look like he looked last year. He looks overwhelmed at times, especially on fastballs. But I'm not going to use his defense as an excuse to bail out Volpe. Volpe, and you're arguing about his numbers are fine. I don't need 25 home runs out of Anthony Volpe. This lineup's strong enough. I don't need that. What I need him is to make the routine plays in the field, and that's what he's not doing right now, and he's got to. He's all in his head. He's got to just get his head clear. I don't want to give up on him. I mean, they do have some other choices now with some of the trades they made, but not guys I want to see out there at shortstop every day. And as far as Stanton goes, I think they've got some options now with Rosario. I don't know if Caballero plays in the outfield. I feel like he might have a little experience out there.
They talked about him playing shortstop as a possibility. It's for Volpe because he's a decent defensive shortstop, Caballero.
He can't hit
all accounts, and
he can't hit a lick.
No. But he's tied for the lead in stolen bases with 34. But you want to know something? That's another area with Anthony Volpe. He should be stealing more bases with his speed and everything involved.
I don't know or not. I think.
Oh, by the way, the Yankees say Devin Williams is still their closer, and and I agree with the move. He's still their closer, but he's got to be looking over his shoulder now.
You're going to see Boone, if he's smart, play more matchups as we go through this season. As far as who's closing out games, I think it's going to depend on matchups and who's pitching well, quite frankly. So Devin Williams better get together. I mean, he blew another save again the other night, and he looks great one night, and then the next night he looks totally lost. And you can't keep throwing a guy out there. Now they've got options. I mean, when you have no other options, you keep throwing them out there. But
and remember Devin Williams in big spots. If the Yankees get to the playoffs, they're going to have a fight to get to the playoffs. I think they will get there, but it's far from a sure thing. They have a few teams here in contention. And let's remember Devin Williams, when he was with Milwaukee last year, gave up the go-ahead home with the Pete Alonso, which allowed the Mets to advance, beat out the Milwaukee Brewers. So we can't have that version of Devin Williams. But when the Yankees got him this year, there was a thought they were getting arguably the best reliever in baseball, arguably going into, this season.
I would listen. I love that trade. I thought it was a great trade. And Nestor now has moved on again. He got traded to the Padres yesterday. Danny's talking about Dela Cruz, I think, in comparison to Volpe. But the thing with Dela Cruz is he's a much better offensive player than Volpe is, and you can, and they need his bat. The Yankees and Reds are two different lineups in my mind, Danny. And I think I don't think I'm putting Volpe in Dela Cruz's place. Yeah. I'm an armchair quarterback too here, Chris. And listen, I think
Brian Cashman did say with the transaction, so one thing he kind of missed out on, there wasn't the opportunity for him to make the deal maybe he wanted, was to get a starting pitcher.
Weren't that many available, though? I mean, who are you going to go get? Gallen was the only guy I can think of that was available.
I would like Charlie Morton for this year, veteran that the Tigers got. But
the Orioles would see him in the division, though. I love it.
But Keith, there's certain things when you get your team set at the beginning of the year, injuries really throw you off, and sometimes you don't recover from it, like Garrett Cole going down. I mean, it's so hard to recover from that. And Max Fried was, he was outstanding to this point, really. I mean, he's come down a little to earth, Max Fried, but he kind of picked up the torch for Garrett Cole, as the ace of the Yankee staff. And
yeah. And Rick, I see Rick's comment about Terry McLaurin. We're going to get to Terry McLaurin in a little. Hang in there. As far as Chris is asking about Jose Canseco, I don't know that he got a ring or didn't get a ring, quite frankly.
Jose Canseco was a Yankee in the 2000 season.
Yeah.
He didn't do that badly as a part-time. I think he got up over 100 times or something. Someone would have to look up the stats.
He had a bunch of home.
Maybe about 237 or something like that. And he wasn't, he was a threat to have off the bench in large part.
He, let me see, I'll tell you what he did that year. What was the year? 2000? Come on, where are you? Tampa Bay. Yeah, so he hit 6 homers, 19 RBIs. He hit 243 and 111.
Okay, I'm in the ballpark. How many times at bat was he?
111 at bats.
Yeah, okay. So what I thought, David Cohn was saying an interesting story about it. Could it have been yesterday, the day before? Canseco was traded from the A's to the Yankees, and a few days earlier, David Cohn had drilled him. So when Canseco got to the Yankees, Cohn and him looked at one another. Canseco didn't say anything, and they never really warmed up completely. Canseco hadn't really warmed up to Cohn. I guess he remembered he got drilled, but there was nothing for him to say to his teammate at that point.
What's funny about this trade deadline? It used to be, and I think I heard somebody comment at this on one of the post-game shows, something I was watching last night. I think it might have been Around the Horn, or not Around the Horns, off the show, the other one. Pardon the interruption. They were talking about, Mike Wilbon was talking about, it used to be trade deadlines, you'd see starters traded right and left. Starters got traded everywhere. Now it's relievers. It tells you about where the game is today. Starters are not the premium guys that you need at this time of year. Everybody's looking to fortify their bullpen, and that's why some of these teams, I think, that I don't understand their lack of participation.
Well, starters get paid a lot more money, and you don't have to rely on another team to pay part of the salary. Usually,
I hear you.
Oh, okay. My volume is gone.
I hear you. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yes, but thanks for letting us know. I hope that's not a problem. But you hear me, right?
I do. I hear you. I think you should be fine.
No one's insulted me yet, so I'm concerned they haven't heard me talk.
I'll mute him.
Carlos Correa. Oh, thanks, Danny. Carlos Correa, in a noteworthy move that could be heartwarming if you're sentimental as far as the Houston Astros go. He went back to Houston from Minnesota. Now Carlos Correa is getting paid like $30 million a year or something like that. I'm not sure what he has on the contract. Maybe a couple of years left, I would estimate. But the report is the Twins are picking up some of the salary. But how much the salary are they picking up? Would Carlos Correa be worth $20 million a year to the Astros now to play third base? I mean, I don't know what's being paid. But if I'm a team owner, Keith, I've told you this. I hate throwing money away. If you sign a guy, tell the GM, you play him. I want to get my money's worth. I don't give a darn.
Yeah. The Astros, that was one of the most interesting trades. I was going to ask about surprises. I was surprised about Correa going back there, but it makes sense too. They had a hole at third base with Paredes hurt and a mediocre player besides. Correa's got to play third base, and they've got a problem because they've broken off negotiations with Pena, their shortstop, who now has got what's his face as his agent. Boris, thank you, is his agent.
Houston lets guys walk. That's one of the things about the Astros, and they let them walk when they're really, really good. Springer, they allowed him to be a free agent, Correa to be a free agent, and they'll still bid on their guys. Altuve, they managed to re-sign. Altuve wanted to be an Astro, so, he took a little less than he maybe could have gotten elsewhere. I think he signed like 5 years, $25 million a year.
And they've got a shortstop now, the Astros. My point, if Pena walks, they move Correa back to shortstop, and they don't necessarily have a hole there. If on the cheap, if the Twins are picking up as much as it sounds like they are. A couple of teams gave up that I'm surprised about. The Cardinals, who have played better baseball than I thought, not as much recently, and the Giants, who have faded a little bit, both seem to have thrown in.
One of our listeners here to the show, and we appreciate his comments, appreciate everyone's comments. Michael Gott, from the UK, is it feasible for a major league team a franchise to be, given to the UK by Major League Baseball? It's about a 7-hour ride or so. Could that possibly work? You think of the 5-hour time difference, but then again, there's a 3-hour time difference, East Coast to West Coast in the United States, and the players make the most of it.
I think it would work more in baseball than it would in football, who's made more noise about moving to Europe. I think it won't work in football at all myself. I've been very...
not football, I'm talking about baseball.
As I said, I think has a better chance of being able to survive that time difference.
And what you do, rather than move teams on their homestand, like give them a 6-game, a 9-game homestand, you let them play the first 2 months at home in the UK. They don't have to be on the road. Then the next 2 months, they're on the road, and then a month at home, a month on the road.
That's going to be very difficult. I mean, it gives them a huge advantage to start the season, right? But they're going to have huge disadvantages when they got to travel for a month.
That's why I don't understand the NFL. They'll schedule home games in Florida in September, which is the worst month. I mean, so let the Florida teams be on the road during September when the humidity is unbearable.
I'm not a big fan of that. Right now, I believe, like division play, say Patriots in Miami, right? They flip-flop every year, whether they play early or late, home and road. If you just make the Patriots go to Miami every year in September or October, well, then you've taken away a huge advantage for the Patriots the years they get to play in December in Foxborough. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Well, just a thought. You were going to mention Terry McLaurin.
Let's get in, since we switched to football a little bit. Let's get into Terry McLaurin. He's holding out. He reported to camp. I don't know if he's participating, but he reported to camp, and apparently part of his reason to report to camp was to ask for a trade. And Listen, I am so sick and tired. By the way, I missed this earlier. Mac was use your mute button on you from having.
Yeah, Mac. I bet Mac used the mute button on me more than anyone else in any podcast. If there were statistics,
we're 3 weeks in. I haven't muted you. Not without reason, by the way. Back to Terry McLaurin. I'm tired of these guys. And I've voiced it on my shows and the shows I guest on. You've got a contract. Please honor your contract. This happens in every sport. Guys have contracts, and as soon as they're obsolete, they want security or whatever that contract is giving them. It's worse in baseball, but we'll concentrate on football for now. You want whatever security you're given by that longer term contract you sign, but as soon as it's obsolete, you want a new one. Well, don't sign that long-term contract. And as long as you've got time on your contract, report to work, do your job. You can bitch and moan. You can ask for and do negotiations with the club. Do what Cook's doing in Buffalo. Do what some other players are skipping my mind right now. I've reported to camp and want new contracts. Parsons in Dallas. These guys like McLaurin, and he knows they got them over the barrel because he's a huge part of that offense. It smells terrible. It's a bad look for them. It puts the teams in a bad position. And I won't steal your thunder because you mentioned.
No, I don't. But Keith, you're a bit of a contradiction because we've talked, I think, a little about this before the show. Or did we talk about it early in the show? I forget because we start talking and then the buzzer goes off to start the show. And I forget whether we said it before during the show, the timeline. You're against lame duck managers, coaches. If they have 1 year left on their deal, you think they're lame duck. I don't. But then again, if a player has 1 year left on the contract, you're not for the team negotiating. And I don't think they should unless they want to keep him for years to come and they're sure about it. Let me just say this about Terry McLaurin. He has...
Hang on. Before you go on, I want to clarify my comments. I'm okay with the teams negotiating with these guys. I don't care. That's fine. Do you want to negotiate? That's great. Come to work and do your job, though, while those negotiations go on. It's fine if they want to do it. But the team should not be obligated to do it. No,
and the team holds all the aces. That's what bothers me about these teams. A guy, in the case of McLaurin, am I pronouncing his name right? McLaren. I sometimes say McLaurin, like the former lightweight champion of the world in the 1930s, Jimmy McLaurin. But he's making over $22 million a year, okay? But so he's probably looking at these elite receivers who are making close to $40 million a year, and he wants that. Well, if you want it, play this year out, have a great year, help the Commanders get to the Super Bowl, show that you're one of the best receivers in the game, and you're a free agent, and now you start negotiating either as a free agent, or if you're not getting the free agent office you want, you negotiate with the Commanders. At that point, the Commanders don't have you under contract, and you have sympathy, at that stage. You don't have a contract anymore, and you want to be paid like one of the best, and the odds are very strong the Commanders would pay you, in the ballpark of what you want. But you got a contract. And I know the attitude of these players, Keith. They're thinking, I'm not going to report like Trey Hendrickson. I'll report, but I won't practice because I don't want to risk getting injured and messing up my deal. Well, you want the team to risk an injury? You want the team? Even Jerry Jones said about Micah Parsons, I'm supposed to give him all that money, but how do I know he's going to be on the field playing? Why the heck does the team have to take all the risks and not the player? And if you sign the contract, you have to understand the contract is the contract unless you've signed for a ridiculously low amount. If he would have had an idiot agent that would have signed him for $3 million a year, that would have been so ridiculously low. In a case like that, I can void it, because it would be insane. Like we give the example when Magic Johnson reportedly signed for $1 million a year for 25 million over 25 years, 25 million total. That's ridiculous. That contract, if I were the commission, I would void it. It's like, it would have been ridiculously embarrassing. But I don't want to let the darn players hold out. Keith, you mentioned this too. Their value just goes down if they hold out. Let them sit the year out. Does he think he's going to get more money sitting a year out?
No, I think it's a big risk. We have a case study for that. I talked about it earlier with you and Le'Veon Bell. He sat out a year. How'd that work out? He got some money. I think he got less money than he would have got if he'd played out his contract. And by the way, his skills also eroded in the year he sat out. He was not nearly the same player.
I just want to make a comment what Danny puts down. Danny, for a two-edged sword, played the season out and tearing Achilles and out 15 months without contract. Two things I'm going to say. Worst case scenario. Look, he signed a $67 million 3-year contract. If he never plays again, I would hope he'd be set for life, be more than comfortable. He'd have the type of money the average person comes nowhere near seeing over a lifetime. So he has that to fall back on lifetime security regardless, okay? And if the team gives him the money he wants, I could look at it another way. They could sign him for $38 million a year, $40 million a year, and give him a 3-year extension and give him most of the money guaranteed or whatever. And what happens if he tears the Achilles then? Then the team is on the hook for that. They're paying him all that money for what? Yeah, I mean, why does the team have to take all the risk? The player doesn't, but the team has to. Come on.
A lot of these players also have insurance policies where if they do have a career-ending injury, they're going to get paid on that as well. And teams do it with players as well. I don't know the case here. But look, as you said, here's the thing. And Jack's absolutely right. Because I talk about this all the time. They've already earned life-changing money before any of this happens. So again, if something happened, I don't want to see a guy lose his career, but I don't think he's going to be hurting for money unless he's stupid and has blown all his money.
Well, yeah, you know what it is, and I remember Michael Kay saying this, talking about Jeter's contract, his last contract. He said it's not about the money itself because, athletes like that, they have more than enough money to last a lifetime and be extremely comfortable. There are no issues there. It's about status. You see the next guy like like Jamar Chase, McClellan, getting $40 million a year. Justin Jefferson getting in the ballpark of $40 million a year. C.D. Lamb getting in that ballpark, and he's figuring, I'm on that level. I should be getting at least close to what they're getting. And he's probably thinking, yeah, I'm willing to take a little less than them, but it's only $2-3 million a year less. So I really should be getting $36-37 million a year.
Listen, I think McLaren's a really nice player. I don't think he's Jefferson good. I don't know if he's Lamb, right, frankly. So they all think they are, right? Wide receivers got to have the biggest egos, some of the biggest egos in all of sports, for crying out loud. So what's he talking about here? Because teams make $100 billion and players make $200 million. We're saying the damn owners have allowed the athletes to negotiate on their terms. They don't have to be allowed.
It's public pressure, Keith. I don't care what anyone says. Public pressure plays a big part on negotiations going on. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, what's happening with Trey Hendrickson, what happened with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It was the pressure they were under. Joe Burrow joined in. He made public comments. These owners feel the pressure. Like we keep hearing with Jerry Jones and the contract with Micah Parsons. Well, Jerry Jones was under pressure to sign Dak Prescott. He shouldn't have given Dak Prescott the deal he did. Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback, but all Dak Prescott is maybe a top 10 quarterback, lower half at most. He's probably somewhere in the 8, 9, 10 range would be my guess off the top of my head. We could argue that. Maybe he's 11 and 12. You might want to put him there. I don't know. But Jerry Jones didn't have to sign him and make him the highest paid quarterback, but he felt all this pressure. He's hearing from the guys like the Stephen A. Smith going on, who was inferring there was something racial because Tony Romo didn't have that issue with his comeback. In the case of Jerry Jones, you don't know, what the deal ever is, what's going on. But it's just one of those things where they feel the public pressure. And I've been a supporter of Jerry Jones, don't get me wrong, but he does cave. And I think he's going to cave on the Micah Parsons thing at some point because it's going to be on the news all the time.
I guess I'll pivot a little bit because you wanted to talk a little bit about the preseason game last night with the Chargers and the Cowboys. And Trey Lance had a decent game. Who cares? He played against the guys who are going to be driving trucks in a couple of weeks. But this brings up a good point.
Oh, that's a dick, Keith.
The Cowboys also, I know.
Oh, come on, man.
We're going to be playing Joe Milton a lot.
Driving trucks in a couple of weeks. I mean, a couple of them maybe. They're going to have other jobs, some of them. I mean, that's a Canadian League, UFL. You never know. I mean, I respect those guys.
There are times a little hyperbole in my comments. I'm trying to make a point. And I want to make it about the Cowboys because we're about to see some interesting stuff in training camp with the Cowboys. I guarantee you, because Mac loved this guy. I had a Joe Milton. I had a message from my buddy Flo from the Bottom Line Sports podcast that they think Milton's better than Dak Prescott. He's going to look good in preseason, I guarantee you, because he looked good in preseason for the Patriots. He looked good in one regular season game against a bunch of second and third stringers. Joe Milton is not better than Dak Prescott. He's not better than probably all the quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Cowboy fans are about to find that out. But they're going to want him because, again, I talked about it Wednesday night on the show that the most popular guy in the team is always a backup quarterback until he's got to play, and then you find out he can't play. Joe Milton's got a great athlete. He's not going to be an elite NFL quarterback.
Mac had a good record as far as projecting how quarterbacks were going to turn out. He was pretty sharp that way, but he was basing his thoughts on Joe Milton on the one regular season game at the end of the year where Milton looked really good. But what's revealing to me is the Cowboys were able to get Joe Milton for only a 6th-round draft choice from the Patriots. And I couldn't understand the Patriots doing that. If Milton were good, I would think they would have wanted him as their backup quarterback to Drake May.
You want to know why?
But Mike Vrabel, for whatever reason, just moved on from him. Mike Vrabel, I kind of wonder how well he knows quarterbacks because the way he handled Malik Willis was a bust under Mike Vrabel at Tennessee. But then when Malik Willis went to the Packers under Coach LaFleur there, he developed. He's obviously not going to start ahead of Jordan Love, but when he filled in, he did a nice job with the Packers. I mean, they did bring him along.
I'll tell you why he's gone for a 6th-rounder, because he's a clubhouse lawyer. He's not they don't want him around the clubhouse because of his attitude. He thinks he's better.
Oh, I didn't know he had an attitude.
He goes around telling everybody he's better than Drake May and should be the starting quarterback.
Ooh.
And
got to get rid of him.
That's why he's not there anymore.
I didn't know that. I never heard that before.
Yeah, that's that was reported very shortly after that trade by the Boston. Mike Curran, actually, I remember reading it from who's the NBC guy in Boston. And I've heard this about Joe Milton before. He thinks he should be playing off of one game. He thinks he's better than Drake May. Again, he's gonna, and the Cowboys might have the same problem.
You don't say that. You know, I understand players are young, they want to be bold or whatever, but you really don't say that.
No, you can think it, and you should think you're better than the other guy. You're trying to beat him out, but you don't divide the lot. Don't try to divide the locker room, and that's what Vrabel was trying to avoid. And
at the end of the day, it's proven. You know, he was a 6th-round draft choice when he came out of college too. Okay, I believe he was a 6th rounder, Joe Milton, if I'm not mistaken. And once in a while, when they take 2 quarterbacks in the draft, the guy they take later turns out better. Look what happened with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. But then again, RG3 was outstanding as a rookie. He showed he was a good caliber NFL quarterback, and I think Washington ruined them the way they, used them. I really think they ruined them. But the bottom line is, Kirk Cousins did turn out to be a better quarterback. And, you think a little of Cleveland, the situation going on. Well, they took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. You take a guy in the 3rd round, it doesn't mean he's your future quarterback. Not at all. I mean, you're taking a chance on that. Like Mason Rudolph with the Steelers was a 3rd-round draft choice, and he, for the most part, has been a career backup. But Coach Tomlin loves him. Did you say they interviewed Coach Tomlin yesterday? He's giddy about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he thinks he's got vintage Aaron Rodgers the way it seems. Wow. And the truth of the matter is this. If Aaron Rodgers, and I doubt if this is going to be the case, Keith, I'm not saying it is, I doubt it. Yep. If Aaron Rodgers should show up and for whatever reason be the Aaron Rodgers of years ago, imagine the Steelers had a prime Aaron Rodgers. That would be a reason to get very excited. But with that said, my feeling is between Coach Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers, all this Super Bowl talk, I think in all likelihood neither of them is going to be back next year.
Since we're on the NFL, and we'll be talking a lot more about this, it's a little early for this question, probably, Michael, but who's the first to get axed? I'll tell you some guys that are probably got pressure on them. I can tell you that Raheem Morris has probably got a ton of pressure on him in Atlanta.
I don't think they like him there personally. And that does play into it. My guess might be, that's a fair question, and I hope it's no one, but one team out there is probably going to get off to an 0-5 start. If I had to say off the top of my head, maybe Kevin Stefanski, because for all I know, the owner, Jimmy Haslam, even though he had a little meeting the other day saying he wasn't involved with Shedeur Sanders getting picked, this, I get a feeling there might be a lack of patience if Cleveland starts 0-5, and they have a murderous schedule.
That's a good one. I think it wouldn't happen early, Michael, but I think Sean McDermott, I think the Bills have to advance.
Too good a track record. I can't see him firing him. You fire Sean McDermott, you're not going to get any better during the season.
You got to win eventually.
I don't see it. And listen, let's say the three. There's a lot of discontent, but you really fire Sean McDermott? I'm not saying it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But
and again, I'm not saying I said I couldn't say who's the first to get axed because I'm not a fan of firing guys during the season. I don't think it works. So I'm talking about probably overall this year. If McDermott got fired, it would be after the season, by the way. And it's probably Raheem Morris as well, and anybody that I might think about. Mike McDaniel's another guy. When does this guy?
Mike McDaniels, there's your answer. That I could see.
Never on anybody's.
That I could see before Kevin Stefanski. Yeah. So let me revise my thought. I'm not hoping it happens to him, but I don't think the Dolphins are going to have much of a season at all. And I could see the Dolphins being a mess, maybe starting 1-6 and breaking the whole darn team up.
Good morning, Linda. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Linda.
Speaking of Mac, Linda's with us most every morning. We appreciate that.
Linda, Mac muted me this show.
He's right. I didn't touch it, Linda, and Mac
Mac muted me from up there.
God bless him. There we go. There's a Mike McDaniels.
Yeah. Hey, Rob. Yeah, I miss you, Robert. But Mike McDaniels, yeah. Like certain coaches, let's be honest. If you go down the roster, coaches, they're not going to get fired that quick. I don't see Brian DeBall getting fired because unless it's an ownership decision, Rick. Because him and the GM Joe Shine are so close, they're attached to the hip.
Yeah.
And part of drafting Jackson Darts in his development, but the Giant ownership is getting a little edgy. Look, they didn't fire, Brian DeBall last season. I mean, they could have easily replaced him with the year they had, and Joe Shine as well.
Yeah, when they go, I think they go together. I think they are attached to hip, as you said. So, one more football. Last night's game. Do you put any credence in what went on last night? Chargers blowout. Who did they play?
The Lions. No, it doesn't mean anything. The result itself doesn't mean a thing. I mean, you're playing your backups. You want to see who's going to get a roster spot. No, but you look at all these teams in the NFL, a few of them, it's pretty predictable, to me at least, that they're not going to have good years, like the Dolphins, the Cleveland Browns, and a few others. But all these teams have such high hopes. It's hard to see who's going to crack. Like you take the AFC West. The Raiders are supposed to be better under Pete Carroll and all their additions. They're supposed to be better. If they're better, who's going to be worse? I don't see Denver getting worse. They made the playoffs last year. They got Sean Payton, a great coach. Are they really going to get worse? Are the Chargers going to get worse under Jim Harbaugh? Unlikely. And Kansas City can afford to get worse, but they're not going to be better. Is Kansas City going to win, for example, less than 10 games? It'll be a shock if Kansas City went 9-8. So Kansas City is going to have a good team, maybe not a 15-2 regular season again, but they're going to be good. Denver's going to be good. You'd think the Chargers were going to be decent, and the Raiders. I mean, if we think they're going to improve.
I think
you're going to crack.
Yeah, that's going to be like the NFC North was last year. You're going to have a bunch of teams, 10, 11, 12 wins, I think, and maybe all in the playoffs, possibly.
Well, the NFC North, once again, the Lions will have double-digit victories. They won't go 15-2, but they'll have double-digit victories. The Packers, you would think they would have double-digit victories, unless you feel they're going to slip. But the Packers are a decent team. And the Bears are going to improve substantially. And the Vikings, are they going to take a major fall from 15-2 to what? What were they, 14-3 or 15-2?
I think they were 14-3.
You're right. But they're going to go from 14-3, the Vikings, to 7-10 in 1 year. It's possible, but that's quite a fall.
It depends on quarterback play. They've got a lot of talent there. They just got to be, if the quarterback is anything, and maybe just has to manage the game. He may not have to, do what Sam Darnold did last year. He just needs to manage the game. So, Federette's delusional.
Well, the Cowboys, I hear some talk, the Cowboys could be a contender. I just don't see it. I just don't see them contending. I think the Cowboys are more likely to finish behind the Giants and be in last place than they ought to, beat out the Eagles and the Commanders.
Yeah. As far as teams on the bubble to be the next Kansas City, that's very hard because to do what the Patriots did over 2 decades, to do what this Kansas City's done over the last decade, that doesn't happen very often. And it's hard to predict. And again, because whoever becomes the next Kansas City, they're going to be gifted that by the NFL and the referees, and we'll have to listen to all that nonsense.
It's a funny thing. If the Buffalo Bills were able to just get by the Chiefs in a number of those games, they would be we'd be talking about them instead of Kansas City. Yeah, sometimes it's a thin line, but it's you're so far away on one game, so far away.
Before we wrap up here, Rick had a question back here. Did you? I did want to talk about it a little bit. There is a little basketball news. The Knicks inked Mikal Bridges.
Oh, right, good one.
To a nice extension. I think this is a good move. I like what Mikal Bridges brought to this team, especially once we got to the playoffs. He hit some big threes. He played some great defense. He does what he's the kind of guy that you need on a team. You just ask him to go out and play basketball, right? Josh Hart was that guy when he first got here with the Knicks. And it took some time to find his place on this team, but I like Mikal Bridges, and who knows? Again, we got a new coach, so that whole dynamic's going to change a little bit. But I like that the Knicks brought him back and wrapped him up for 4 more years.
Yeah, at $150 million, $37.5 million a year. It's not crazy money. That's what market value is to someone like Mikal Bridges. And more importantly, it shows the commitment. There was a lot of talk that Mikal Bridges would be part of any major trade the Knicks were going to make. But we don't know what Mike Brown, we didn't know what he was thinking when he first took the Knicks job. And Mike Brown obviously is extremely familiar with the personnel in the NBA. And Mikal Bridges is apparently his type of player. And he let the Knicks know, obviously, that's the guy he wants on his team. So Mikal Bridges is going to be a Knick going forward. So all these rumors about him maybe being on the trading block aren't going to happen. And I don't think Leon Rose is going to argue about it because they gave up a boatload to get Mikal Bridges. So when you give up all the draft picks the Knicks did to get a player like Mikal Bridges, you badly want him to succeed in your uniform.
100%. I don't think there's any other news in the NBA to chat about, but that.
LeBron and Jokic are starting a new league. They're talking about it.
I saw that there is that. Is it really news? Who's going to go play in it? Them?
Oh, I don't know what contract. And you never know. I mean, if money is there, some guys will switch over. But there's so much sports. How many basketball leagues can we take an interest in? It's like football. Even if you get a lot of great NFL players and put them in the United Football League, are we going to be paying attention to the standings as much?
I skipped by this early, but since you went there, Chris says he's been at a gas station, never heard a lot of gas stations, never heard of someone talking UFL football, but UFL stadiums are packed. Are they? I'm not watching.
Chris, I mean, I never heard anyone talk sports at any gas station. I'm just pumping up, getting my gas and getting in the car. I mean, once in a while, if you have a cap on that might say Jets, wherever you go, someone might make a comment, in that regard. It's funny. My father never knew a thing about sports. He's from Europe, didn't know a thing about sports. But I once got him like a Jet cap on. And he's in Florida, and all people wanted to do was talk to him. And that's when Parcells went over to the Jets to become their head coach. And there was excitement. And people would be stopping my father talking about the new coach. And he'd be nodding his head. No idea what they were talking about. And he'd come back to me and say, everyone's stopping me and they want to know about the new coach.
Who talks to people out in public? Michael's Canadian. He's up in Ontario, so Canadians are nicer than we are. So they're probably.
Can the Canadian, Chris? Can the Canadian Football League champions? How would they do against the UFL champions?
By the way,
I'm interested. I have no idea. I would think Canada would win.
Chris, if you got time to respond before we go off, go ahead. And if not, we'll pick up on that. To his point, though, I don't watch the games. So are the stadiums packed? I can't believe the stadiums are packed.
I mean, I sometimes, watch a little of the games, but what's at stake for me to watch? It's just watching it for entertainment football. I don't know what game's got to mean something for me for the standings. I'm going to tell you, Keith, if standings meant nothing at all, and they just had Sunday games, I wouldn't be nearly as interested.
Has he got something here? Hold on. For it's economy, it's about the break. Let's see. I don't think he really was answering your question, but anyway, we'll get back to that. We got to wrap it up. Jack, great show today. Good, a lot of good stuff to talk about, and we're gonna have a lot more because the NFL is going to get deeper and deeper into the preseason, and there's going to be news and some of these guys are traded. We'll talk more about our have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow morning on the debate show. Don't miss anything on streaming sport. And we'll see you on Sunday morning with the football show and I'll be on with the Sunday morning at 10 and have a great weekend. You can join. Bye-bye.